Welcome to the AFR Saints channel, where we provide you daily content on your favorite team, the New Orleans Saints. Do us a favor and hit that subscribe button. Be sure to leave your comments below and smash that like button. Who dat? Both Davon Godchaux and Juwan Johnson met with reporters on Monday. Davon Godchaux traded to the Saints from the Patriots. Juwan Johnson re-signed with the Saints as a free agent. Interestingly, the Saints also added Velus Jones over the weekend. Remember Velus Jones, the former Tennessee wide receiver? The Saints added Velus Jones to the roster, but they have him listed officially on the roster as a running back. That's a bit odd. I'm not sure exactly what they're thinking there, but that's something as we get a chance to talk to the coaching staff throughout the offseason. Maybe we'll get more as they get closer to OTAs and things like that. Godchaux, though, talked about obviously coming home and the opportunity to play for the New Orleans Saints.
I mean, just the opportunity to come back home, playing the NFC South. It's my first time playing the NFC. I've been in the NFC since I got in the league, going on year 9. So I'm excited. I know it could be a great opportunity to help with, some of the run defense here. And I'm excited to do whatever I can to help the team to win. One game at a time. Got some great veterans on the team like Cam, Tyron, Demario Davis. So I'm excited to get to work with those guys, a lot of other guys, and put this thing together and get some wins.
Most of our conversation about Bo Davis has been from the LSU perspective, with good reason. I think this is a dramatically more Bo Davis's decision to leave LSU for the Saints impacts LSU dramatically more than it does New Orleans, for a lot of reasons. Recruiting stability, financially, all those things. It's not to say he won't make an impact on New Orleans. I think he will. He's an excellent defensive line coach. I just think that the effect of him leaving LSU is greater than the effect of him joining New Orleans. But Davon Godchaux talked about getting to work with Bo Davis.
Yeah, Bo, I had a chance to meet him this season at LSU. Bo, he's a very energetic guy, great coach. Nothing but great things about him. I know a lot of guys at Alabama that he coached also too, so it's going to be a very exciting process to work with Bo. Never worked with him, but I always heard a lot of great things about him. But she's kind of like the same kind of tree, like the Pete Jenkins tree, the Bo Davis. It's a lot of coaches in the NFL, D-line coaches taking that, like Bill Belichick. All those guys kind of learn from the same tree, Nick Saban, all those guys. So it's going to be exciting to work with Bo. Like I said, never worked with him, but I'm very excited for it.
Shout out Coach Pete, GOAT, real recognize real and all that stuff. But he's right. I mean, Bo's great. He's a great technician. And as you're changing from a 4-3 to a 3-4, which Bo is coach. Remember when Bo was at Alabama with Nick, and they ran a primary 3-4 with an interior nose, which is what Davon Godchaux is going to play. You're talking about a guy that has experience coaching in that defensive front as well. So with Godchaux there, my sincere hope for Bo Davis is that he can maximize Bryan Bresee. Because we have seen the Saints invest heavily in the defensive line, from drafting Bresee, drafting Peyton Turner, who's obviously gone, drafting Marcus Davenport, who's obviously gone, drafting Isaiah Foskey, who's bordering on bust territory right now. You paid Carl Granderson. You've now paid Chase Young. They have invested heavily in the defensive front. And last year, you were in the middle of the league in the NFL in sacks, and you were second to last in the NFL in run defense. So you have not gotten a return on your investment in your defensive line. It's on Bo Davis to fix that. We'll see if he can. Godchaux, I think, could be a good piece. Now, the Saints also invested heavily in Juwan Johnson. 3 years, $31 million. I love Juwan Johnson's story. Talked about this. He was Juwan when he signed with the Saints as a UDFA. Was good enough to come on the show a couple times, and it is an amazing story. A guy that was a wide receiver, Penn State, Oregon, signs with the Saints as a UDFA. They converted him to tight end. He was willing to do that. He, his wife are also social media influencers. They've been very public about their challenges with starting a family, which ultimately they did, which is amazing. Like, I feel so good for Juwan Johnson on a personal human level. To have persevered the way he has, to have made the team, now finally get this big contract, 3 years, $30 million. And I hope it goes amazingly for him and for the Saints. The issue that I have is not Juwan or the player. It's just where the Saints are and where they should be allocating financial resources. I don't think you should be committing long-term deals to players that necessarily I should say aren't going to help you win because he will. I think he's a good player. But when you have a lower ceiling, my contention has just been the whole focus of the team needs to be a financial cap reset with younger players instead of paying veteran players. But what's done is done, and now I hope Juwan Johnson crushes it and is awesome here in New Orleans. And he said it point blank. This is where he spent his NFL career and where he wants to be.
This is home for us. I think we've had our greatest challenges here. We've had our biggest disappointments here, raised our kids. New Orleans has shown us how to grow up. We were little kids. I feel like coming here at 23 years old, 24 years old, and now we're 28, 29, and New Orleans accept us with open arms. I think it was only right, to come back and kind of finish something that we started. So I'm really, really appreciative of being here. I'm thanking, that the front office, thanking the head coaches entrusting in me and bringing me back, and so ready to get to work and do more of what we planned to do when I first got here in 2020.
That's the kind of thing that endears you to a place. I don't know what the open market was for Juwan. I don't know if he tested it. His agent, he's represented by Vayner Sports. That's AJ Vaynerchuk, who's been a friend of the show as well. And I haven't spoken to him to know what the market might have been like for Juwan. If he just wasn't interested in looking around because he wanted to be here, or if the Saints gave him the best offer. Well, I don't know. All that's to be determined. Maybe something will come out on that. But when you hear a guy talk about this is home, this is where I want to be, it's where we want to raise our kids, it's endearing. It's how you endear yourself to a fan base, to a community. And he is that. But it also has to translate into productivity on the field. I love this too. Juwan Johnson in this press conference did detail a late night phone call conversation that he had with Kellen Moore.
I called Kellen. Man, it was like 11, 12 o'clock at night. And I was just like, man, like, what's the deal? Like, are you guys, what's, what is it? Like, why do you guys want me really? And so, he just told me, like, we got on the phone, man, and we talked it out. And really on, like, what the plan is, what his vision is for the team. Because I was up at night. I told Shane, I was like, Shane, I got to call this dude. Like, I was like, I can't sleep. Because we were deciding between teams. Like, I'm deciding, like, where to put my family for the next 3 years, 3 or so years. And so I really had to just, like, understand where we wanted to go. Because something in my heart was telling me, man, I got to stay in New Orleans. But if I stay in New Orleans, it got to make sense. I got to make a wise decision.
Would love to know, what some of the other teams that were interested with those deals, those contracts look like, kind of like as we were talking about. But, conversation late night with Kellen Moore is what convinced him to stay here. Now the onus is on Kellen Moore to make sure they properly use Juwan Johnson. And it's interesting because as we've talked about this from the time the Saints first identified Kellen Moore, and remember that process was a long process with Kellen Moore because he was coaching the Super Bowl. So we had a lot of time to dissect all of it. But we talked about the tight ends. From having Dalton Schultz in Dallas and then having Dallas Goedert in Philly. Dalton in Dallas and Dallas in Philly. But his willingness to use the tight end, but they're more prototype tight ends, not converted receivers like Juwan Johnson. So it's a little interesting how that may fit. But I want to remind you this. If you were not here at the beginning of the show today, we talked to Will Clapp. And I love it. Like this is probably the most encouraging soundbite from anybody that I've heard so far about playing in Kellen Moore's offense.
By far my favorite offense I've ever played in. Not just saying that because it's just fun there, but like truly is my favorite offense I've played in through college or pros. Everything is, fast, to the point. There's not, everything has a meaning. It's not like, crazy wordy where you see something like everything he puts in this offense is like to the point. And, we just had a bunch of fun under him. I mean, that was my main, memory from playing with him with the Chargers. And I'm excited to get back to it.
Super encouraging, man. It was Will Clapp on this show a couple hours ago. And look, I mean, my assumption is they're going to go draft an offensive weapon at 9. I think that's what they're going to do. We'll see. But you got Juwan Johnson back. You'll have Olave and Shaheed healthy. Derek Carr's back. Kamara's back, an aging Kamara, but back. See what else they can get. But I'm excited about Kellen Moore. Nothing else. At least offensively what he may bring. But long way to go. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact. And be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.